G'day everyone, I've got a E87 120D BMW. This is a 2007 model. I've got to do the alternator belts, but there's also the power steering pump, which is a non-adjustable elastic band basically. So I'm going to show you how we do this. Alright, so the main belt in this particular application is a 6PK 1836. Hopefully it's not too blurry. That's what you'll need for the main one. The little lesser one, I've got a 4PK 819, so this might be a little bit longer than the one that come off it. We'll have a look because that was a 4PK 830. I've got a Daco going on. Now I've removed all the engine fan here just to make filming a little easier. You should be able to do this without removing it. It can get a bit tight squeezed in here, so it could make your job a lot easier. Now, this is the power steering pump belt. Now there is no adjustment possible with that design. It's just one belt. Now you need to remove that before you do the main alternator belt. And the tensioner is just here. So I'll show you how we get that off. Alright, so but before we get, like I said, before we get that main alternator belt off, we need to get that power steering pump belt off. Now there is a BMW specific tool that is for this particular application. I don't have that, and most people won't have it. I'm sure you probably won't have it, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. It's pretty simple. You just got to take a bit of care so you don't damage the new belt. The old one doesn't really matter, but I will still get that one off gently, so if anything happens to the new belt, we might be able to use this one again. Now, you will need a 22mm socket and a screwdriver. Will pretty much do the trick. So, 22mm will go on the pulley there, and we're going to use that to turn the engine over. So I'm basically going to get the screwdriver in here on the power steering pulley. I'm just going to force that belt out like that while I turn the pulley over, and hopefully that should just pop straight off. There we go. One belt off. So when it comes to taking the tension off the main alternator belt, this is the adjuster here. So you've got the alternator, you've got an idler here, you've got aircon compressor, and the main crank pulley here. So in order to release that, the fitting is a T60. Now I'll try and get the camera in to show you. So you can see there we are down below that Torx fitting. That is what we need to get into. So it's just underneath it, basically directly under. So with our ratchet in here, all I need to do, I'm kind of going to be in the shot, is just push it down. Now while we're pushing down, fortunately at the top here there is a little pinhole which you can use to lock the adjuster out. Now I'm just going to use a punch. You can use a 4.5mm drill bit, that will fit. But just throw it in shank side first, not the flute side, because I have done this before and using the flute side in, mainly so the shank is out and you don't cut yourself on a sharp end, but it has snapped the drill bit. So yeah, just do the main shank side of your drill and it won't break, because you don't want this breaking on your fingers. And that will hold the tensioner out. I'll show you. So there you can see where that punch has gone in, and it's just holding it in the open position. So with that there, we can simply remove the belt. Pay attention to how it's routed. I'll throw it up on the screen as well, the drawing. So when it comes to running your new belt around, I always just start from the crank and work your way around. And all honesty, you can start kind of whatever point you want. A new belt is going to be particularly painful because it's been folded up. Also for reference, I always like to put the belts with the marking so it's readable from the front of the car, so you don't have to turn your head upside down and or whatever. You can sort of see it for a reference later on. So the thing before putting your tension back on the tensioner, just run through, make sure all your belt is sitting in its pulley correctly. So a short extension as well. This only really works if you've got the fan out, because you're going to kind of run out of room, but it gives you a bit more room for your fingers. Just push it down, pull your pin out, and just slowly release it, and that's your main belt done. So now we just go do that power steering pump. Alright, so I'm just going to show you the theory of how this goes on with the old belt, and the reason for that is because this old belt is actually slightly longer than the new belt that I've got on. So this is going to be a hell of a lot easier. So basically go over the power steering pulley first, and then I'm just going to crank it on. Now you may need some screwdrivers to hold it in place, but like I say, you can see that belt's flipping over there now. To back it on, off, just keep guiding it on properly on that lower pulley, and try not to run your fingers over. But that's the theory with the old belt. New belt is a lot more difficult. Well, I've got an empty shed behind you guys. I completely forgot to do an outro video when I was filming this, so just realised while I'm editing, it's like, there's a bit of an empty space. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little guide on how to pull the belts off your E87. Just that one fixed belt is a pain in the ass. I'd probably recommend when you get a new one, the one that I ordered that the auto store had on their parts list to suit this vehicle was the 4PK 819. The one that I had on that vehicle already was a 4PK 830, so it is a little bit longer. It does make fitting that belt a lot easier, so I'd probably recommend just going that little bit longer belt. It doesn't really affect the performance at all, unless you really hate your life and you want to struggle with that shorter belt, because yeah, I end up by like no, this is probably without that special tool, it is a little bit tight. So yeah, I'd recommend just getting that little bit longer belt and run with that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like, drop a comment. If you're not a subscriber, maybe consider being a subscriber. I've got a few more B&W videos coming up, so yeah, we'll get into that. And yeah, if you've got one of these vehicles, you might not want to miss that, especially if you like doing your own maintenance, because a lot of this stuff's just basic stuff that is easy to do. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Thanks to the channel members as well, Byron, Dave, Rob and Jay. Really appreciate you guys being members. And yeah, see you on the next one. Cheers guys.